Welcome to the Audible. Kim Bokamper. I don't know who this guy sitting next to me is. Tie, white shirt, tie.
Wait a second.
Hold on a second.
What's that smell?
Oh, is that Axe or is that may be high karate I'm smelling
That
there,
is
no?
my best cologne
Is
is
it
what
the
that
best
is, my
cologne you
friend.
got?
Thank you. That I do have my... Isn't it?
Shaved?
Don't you get...
Shaved, cologne.
Color?
I see the hair's a little darker.
Color, a little darker.
Got a little hairspray on there.
Yeah, no, it's loaded.
Yeah,
I went jet black. But Bo, think about this. It's Jets Dolphins, man.
Yeah.
It's a special week. I'm going to wear my best.
I got it.
I'm ready to go.
Rose with you. All dressed up and ready to roll. Usually he comes in a pair of stinky shorts from playing tennis, a shirt where the collar's all like pulled out aside, and now he comes in a shirt and tie. But that's right. It's Jets week. You're watching the Audible. If you're watching on Twitter via Periscope, you can go ahead and send in your questions. Just hashtag the Audible. You can see us on a delayed basis, a rebroadcast, if you will, on the Miami Dolphins Facebook page and on MiamiDolphins.com. Go ahead and send your questions in. As I said, hashtag the Audible via Twitter. We'll go ahead and get to those questions. But, Joe, Dolphins, Jets, it feels like we haven't played in 3 weeks. We went off with the bye week last week. Good for this team. Healed up a little bit, feeling good about themselves from a physical standpoint. Now they've got to go out, Joe. My question is, can they match the physicality that they had against the Steelers and the Buffalo Bills as they host the New York Jets this weekend at Hard Rock Stadium?
Well, that's been the key, right? The last couple weeks, this is about as physical as we've seen a Dolphins team forever, going back years and years on both sides of the ball. And it all starts with that offensive line, but, Bo, it's a big question. And they will
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Keep that thought. I'm just looking at you in that shirt and tie. You're getting paid to go somewhere, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, get back to it.
Okay. The defensive line for the New York Jets is number one in the National Football League. So it's going to be a tough task for everybody going on the J train right now to get another 200 yards. Hey, right now they're going to continue to try to run the ball. Everybody has to calm down on that. This may be a week, Bo, where we got to see more Ryan Tannehill, but they will continue to run the football.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. You look at this football team, and injury-wise, we're just looking at the Jets injury report. I'm not going to go through all of them because they got a lot of guys on the report. But the guys you kind of look at and you say, okay, this is important.
Right.
Muhammad Wilkerson, he's questionable. He was limited at practice today, which tells me he's at least probably going to try to play in the football game. Nick Mangold is out, or they've got him as questionable. Didn't practice today. I don't think he's going to play. That's everything I've heard. Kellen Davis, the tight end, he's out. Bruce Carter's out. Ryan Clady, questionable, didn't practice today. So there's a few guys out there that are kind of sitting there on the edge for the Dolphins, but I don't think they can worry about that, Joe. They've got to go out and play their game. But you've got the New York Jets that bring in the number one rated run defense in the National Football League, but right behind them is a pass defense rated 32, the 32nd ranked passing defense in the National Football League. And it begs the question, is a run defense number one because everyone's throwing the ball over the top, or are they just that good? And we'll find out at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
I think it's a combination. If you talk to everybody, I saw the comments from the Cleveland Browns, and they said when you run against that front seven for the Jets, it feels like there's 11 or 12 guys up there in the box. But, Bo, you still got to run it. You got to set up play action for your pass protection, which makes it a lot easier when you got to worry and you've got the threat, because the first thing the Jets have to do, and they've been talking about it all week, is run defense. They got to stop the J train. They can't have Jay Ajayi going off and having a huge game, because they know if that happens, they're in big trouble. It's going to open holes in every part of it. I think what they'd like to do is they can shut the run down. Bo, I'm just going back to a year ago. They blitzed a lot. Todd Bowles loves to blitz. He's going to get after. They've had great success with Ryan Tannehill. Of course, he didn't have this kind of running game the last couple of years. But looking at that, Bo, if they can get some time, I think there's going to be some great opportunity to hit some big plays against that secondary. You look at, they've already given up 15 touchdowns. They've given up a lot of big plays. There's no reason the Dolphins can't have success with their three outside receivers.
And Joe, I'm a firm believer that, look, you know this from today until the last game of the season for the Miami Dolphins, the job for every defense they play now is going to be shut down the running game. Right? They've seen what they've been able to do running the football. And I've always believed that, look, you don't have to run the ball as successfully as the Dolphins have done in the last 2 weeks to be successful. but you've got to have the threat of running. They've got to respect that you can run the football. I think the Dolphins over the 2 weeks have certainly delivered the respect of being able to run the football, which opens you up to a lot of things down the field. Throwing the football, it just kind of opens that whole offense up. So, they can't abandon the run. They've got to go back and see if they can continue to do exactly what they did for the last 2 games, running the football early in the game and seeing if they can establish it. And if not, they've got to just kind of keep going with it, but then try to take advantage of the play action, balls down the field, the tight ends. And just looking on the Dolphins injury report, a little bit surprised here. Deion Sims, full, limited, and he's called out for the game, which I thought when he started practicing this week that he was going to be ready. But on this, a little disappointing there that Deion Sims. But Marquise Gray, Dominic Jones have been doing a great job in his stead while he's been out there. And obviously Jordan Cameron still dealing with the concussion. Oof. He's out for the game. So it's going to be a while before he gets back. And hopefully next week would be the time that you see Deion Sims get back into the lineup here. Mike Harley, number 42, says, when is Culver playing? Well, I think that time is, I think he's right on the edge, Joe.
I do.
I know he's not ready right now. I don't feel like they don't feel like he's ready right now, but I would think that somewhere on that West Coast trip, he's going to line up and play.
I think he and Earl Mitchell.
Yes.
You can put him in there in California. I think we'll see both of them. They're getting rid of rust. Both those guys are practicing getting rid of rust. Didn't look as good. I know Culver looked a lot better in the second week. This is actually his 3rd week of being out there now, plus last week, off week. I'm guessing he was out there, Bo, doing some work on the off week, whatever you can do legally with the new agreement between the union and the owners. But I think he sounds like he's antsy to really play and show it. And by the way, I just want to add to that, Culver, I think kind of motivates those guys in front. They know they got a veteran guy that's been a proven guy in the back.
Going to push him a little bit.
Him a little bit. And it seems to work, especially with this group of guys where, hey, if you're not performing, you see what we'll do. We'll bench you or we'll release you if we got better players. I think it's pretty good motivation for a lot of guys.
And, had some problem with there's been some problems with the special teams because a lot of special teams guys core key special teams guys have been moved into the starting lineup and taken out of some of their special teams responsibility. Zach Vigil is saying here's a good chance he may get in and play this week and help that special teams unit a great deal. Just to have a body that's a very good special teamer come in and jump in the thing. So there's some good things that are happening here. T. Lubin 6, are these past 2 weeks for Miami a flash in the pan? Or is this a sustainable level of playing? Well, I think that's the $1 million question right there, Joe.
Bo,
going into this football game, this is the one that says, "Hey, was that smoke and mirrors, or is this the real thing?" The way they come out and play this week, I think this is a determining factor. Now, having said that, virtually every coach, every player I've spoken to believes that they have found the key to their success offensively, and it lies with those 5 guys up front and the ability to run the football, certainly with Jay Ajayi back there. And I know you're a big fan of him, Damian Williams, when he gets the opportunity, always seems to make something happen.
Yeah, he's the number 2 running back for me. This is a no-brainer. I don't care. He wasn't drafted. I don't. He's proven. He's got 3 touchdowns. He can do a little bit of everything. We see the J train go out. He comes in. He's made some plays. So I really like him a lot in this offense. Bo, I think this 3rd week, if they win 3 in a row, it's going to tell us something. We've won the 2 in a row. We go back to a year ago with the Titans and Texans. Like, and then they disappeared the rest of the year. We'll know a lot more about this team by the way they come out and play against the Jets. And by the way, Jets are going to forget about the last couple of weeks. The Jets seem to bring their best football down here to South Florida and whether they're in last place or first place, they're going to be ready.
No doubt about that. You're watching the Audible here. Kim Bokamper, Joe Rose with you. You can go ahead and send your questions in via Twitter if you're watching on Periscope. Just hashtag the Audible. You can go ahead and ask where Joe gets his ties at, where he gets his shirt so crisp and clean like that. All those questions.
You can also watch us. You
can also watch us on a rebroadcast on the Miami Dolphins Facebook page, and you can see us on MiamiDolphins.com. Yeah, I did ask you were going to get paid, Joe, because I know you.
Next thing you're going to do is ask me how much.
No, I know. No, I never get into how much. I never do that. Never get into the how much thing.
It's a freebie.
Yep. King. Oh, no, it ain't. No. King Edlin, who's a regular contributor to the program here. It's time to trade Jordan Cameron. Who are you going to trade him for? What are you going to get for Jordan Cameron? He's been concussed a number of times. This has been what's dogged him in his career is the concussion situation. He's been out now for what, Joe? 6 weeks? Maybe more. I don't know. He's been out for a long time.
And so
if he's been out that long, I don't expect him coming back anytime soon. So King, you're my man, but I don't know how much trade value is there. You got a tire that's flat. You're gonna stand on the side of the road and say for sale. How many people are gonna stop and pick that? It's just not gonna happen, man. It's not gonna happen.
This concussion thing. We were just talking to some of the writers next door who are in here. You're almost better off having a shredded knee now and coming back than you are with this concussion. You're now damaged goods. He's got to start thinking about potentially
hanging up. You got to
young guy, young family,
his lifestyle
made some
going
money,
forward, what he's going to have down the road.
Changes.
Because he's had. I mean, the question coming in was, when he came here 2 years ago, he's had the concussions, or is he past them? Well, obviously he's not, and it continues to be something for him. So look, if I'm him, I'm at this point, I'm seriously thinking more about my long-term life and my family life moving forward with him.
That's the other tight end too. Deion Sims right behind him. Both. That's a terrible sign. He's been out a while.
Yep.
He practices, as Bo said before, we're hearing almost 100%. He's out.
Yep.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. Kylish, how are the outside linebackers doing? So. I think you're seeing some good and bad. It depends who's in there. Neville Hewitt is a guy that's going to make plays for you that show up, but then there's times where, he's kind of gets lost in space out there a little bit. I think Jelani Jenkins coming back, I think he came back because he wanted to play, but he wasn't the Jelani Jenkins. No. Didn't have the burst, there were a couple times in pass coverage or guys where he's trying to run down a back where you just saw him and it seemed like he was running in mud a little bit, just didn't have the speed. He'll play this week, and we'll see if maybe this 2 weeks off during the bye week has helped him to get a little bit closer to 100%. But that kid's a warrior, man. That kid, Jelani Jenkins, I mean, I've seen him over the last 2 years play when he shouldn't be playing, just fight through it and everything. The second question was, is Jelani Jenkins in for this week? Yeah, he is in for this week. He's played the last 2 weeks, but he certainly hasn't been himself.
Not the guy we saw from a couple years ago. He had that high ankle sprain that Bo was talking about. Tried to play through it and just played a few plays, limped off, and you just said, hey, man, his speed is so important to him. So we haven't really seen the Jelani Jenkins I think we saw 2 years ago.
Joe, we've talked about the Dolphins' running game against the Jets' run defense. You look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's struggling as a quarterback. You got Brandon Marshall, talking about Byron Maxwell and throwing the gauntlet down for him this week. And you got Matt Forte, a very talented running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, that can run the football. They've got an offense that's kind of, it's a little bit, it may be a little bit of that sleeping bear right now. They're not doing much offensively, but if you poke them the right way, I think they've got players that can come out and make something happen. If the Dolphins can't let up defensively and think that their offense is going to carry them through, they've got to go and take the game to the New York Jets and their offense. And I know that's what Vance Joseph and these guys are talking about all week long here.
I can just tell you one thing I don't want to happen, and that's a Brandon Marshall 8 or 9 catches for a 180-yard game, who, by the way, not only talked about he doesn't like Byron Maxwell and he doesn't respect him or all the other stuff, but said he didn't like the way he was treated by the fans of the media.
Who? Brandon Marshall?
Yeah.
Down here?
Yeah, he didn't like it. And guess what? We didn't like the 7 or 8 drop touchdowns that he had that last year.
Or the fact that while he was here, may have been one of the most selfish football players I've ever been around in my lifetime. Correct. It was all about me. And the funny thing about Brandon Marshall, I don't take anything away from his ability. Great football player, physical, strong, catches the ball, goes up. He'll run over you if he gets a chance to run over you. But you know what? He's left. Where's he been? He left Denver.
Yeah.
They have no complaints about him leaving in Denver.
Nope.
He left here. Good riddance.
Yep.
Nice to see you somewhere else.
Put up good numbers in Chicago, and they let him go.
Chicago, hey, we'll see you. Have a good career. We're not worrying about you. And I got a feeling that his welcome in New York isn't going to last much longer than anyone else, too. So this is a guy that, that for all of his skill, all of his talent, he got a lot of baggage hanging around his neck, no question about it.
It's always everybody else.
It is,
He's a great player. Listen, and I don't mind you talking. That's your style. You're making money doing it. You're in New York and everything else. But all of a sudden you're blaming fans, Dolphin fans.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Media down here?
Yeah.
Really?
Blame that fan you threw and hit him in the head with a football when you didn't get the ball thrown to you in the end zone. Blame that guy about it. Here's a Twitter question. Why do we keep going back to London and sacrifice a home game? Well, this time it's the NFL that mandates it. If you're going to get a Super Bowl within 4 years of that Super Bowl, you owe us a trip to London. And the Dolphins just kind of got under last year.
Really?
They kind of got under the wire. And so now they're going back to London and giving up a home game. So, yeah, it's
Thinking about renting a place with you over there.
Well, I tell you what, we might split a we might split a flat over there.
We might have to go over there and get a pad, man. We've been going over there so much.
I'm getting to feel as comfortable in London as I am in Buffalo.
We've actually got great weather the last couple of times over there. We brought a little South Florida weather with us.
I know it's disappointing for Dolphin fans, especially for home games that are going over there. But look, it's a sacrifice that you make to bring a Super Bowl here, and I had somebody go, well, what do we get from having a Super Bowl over here? Team-wise, probably don't get much for having a Super Bowl here. Community-wise, though, I think it's one of those major events that you don't turn down if you've got the opportunity. In fact, you go after it and you chase it like it's a gift for you. So I think that, look, it's disappointing, but I think when that Super Bowl's here and all the activities going around town, that home game will be forgotten by that time.
I understand. People are going, why can't it be somebody else if you do have to go? Let them be their home game. Yeah. But I think it's important to Steve Ross. He put a lot of money in it. He wants people to see it in the form of a Super Bowl. He's really proud of what they spent more than $500 million on.
Where do you see this London thing going? It started with one game. Now there are 3 games. Every year, 3 games over there. And I just can't help but think that this is their test. Every game that goes over there is a test for how easy can we get in and out.
Right.
How easy can they get out and come back? Travel wise, how do you do that? I think all of that is being looked at very closely to see where they can go and how easy or how they would go with logistically putting a team over in London on a regular basis.
Bo, we were at the same dinner over there, and their MC, who's their NFL rep over there, really talented, great guy, was talking about excited about a team coming full time in the next few years. And I was sitting at the table next to some other guys, and I go, wow, we're not really talking about a full time team over there. It was the first time I had heard it. They think they're getting a team over there, Bo, full time. They think it's coming. I don't know if it's going to be the Jags, who seem to play more over there more than anybody. But there's a feeling. I don't know how it's going to work, but I know a lot of things to work out as far as getting guys, how many home games, travel a long way. Can you imagine going from London and going over to play Seattle?
That's
a big boy game. That's a big boy travel game.
Although the thought would be, okay, when you leave London to go play a game, you're going to play 3 games in the States, and whether it's you go to New York, Dallas, Seattle, whatever you figure out that.
Yeah,
no doubt.
A satellite camp somewhere.
Yeah. All right, let's go back here to some questions. C. Matt Parker, at the halfway point of this season, what do you like about Gase and his staff?
I tell you what, I've got a lot of respect for Adam Gase, and I'll tell you why. He didn't lose the team, and Bo, we saw some bad football. Yeah. We went through 3 or 4 weeks of some really, really bad football, and we've seen a lot of it over the last decade, but that was really bad. And he was like, "Nah, we're fine," and I was like, Coach, what are you talking about? We're going to get this flipped around. We're getting some guys back. They're buying in. We're getting closer. This thing's starting to come together offensively. And I was like, really? And sure enough, man, he's got those guys believing. He's got them playing the style that he wants to play, Bo.
There's a few things I like about – there's a lot I like about him and his staff. He's pointed guys out. He said, hey, you know what? You got to play better. You got to play better. You got to play better. Jay Ajayi, you want to mope around because we're not making the starter game 1. Fine, we'll leave you at home.
Right.
And you have the 2 guys, Dallas Thomas and Billy Turner, just never kind of getting past where they were. He said, you know what? I've watched you enough. I know you're not going to be a better player. You're not going to be a better player a month from now than you are right now. Boom. Let's move you out and get some other guys in here. I like that he's done that. And Joe, someone asked me on this program a week or so ago, said, what is there anything that reminds you of Coach Shula with Adam Gase? And the first thing that came to my mind is, this is a guy who likes to come out here. His offense in his mind is predicated on throwing the ball around the field. Maybe not deep, but moving the ball around the field via the pass. All of a sudden he's found out that his football team is better at running the football. And so he's been patient, staying with it, going with it, making that change. Okay, look, the picture I had in my mind of this football team was this,
right?
But all of a sudden, we do this better. We're going to stay with that. And I think when you look at Coach Shula over the years, his ability to, have a guy like Bob Greasy and have a running game with Zonka, Kick, and Mercury Morris, and you have a great receiver in Paul Warfield and a great quarterback in Bob Greasy, and you kind of abstain from the pass and run the football because you got a great offensive line and you got a great running game, and you pound and you pound and you pound, and you go to 3 Super Bowls and you win 2. Then you lose Bob, and here comes David Woodley, who's kind of a in-between, a so-so throwing quarterback, but he can run. Joe, what are we doing? We're running options. We're doing this and that, throwing the ball when he can, doing all these different things, becoming more of a defensive football team. Where do you end up? You end up at the Super Bowl again. Then you get Dan Marino, and all of a sudden, hey, you got a gunslinger out here. It is wide open offense
Let's
again.
Go.
We go. Yeah. So the way he's and you go to a Super Bowl again. The way he adapted with his players,
I agree.
I think is something. And I think it's in a very short period of time here with Adam Gase. That's the one thing I look at and go, there's a small similarity. I can't say, look, I'm not saying that Adam Gase is going to be Don Shula by any stretch of imagination, but his ability to change in midstream for something that's working as opposed to something that's not working tells you a little bit about him.
I'll tell you something else. I just heard this story in the last week. Jay Ajayi went in and talked to the head coach about plays he likes the best.
Yeah.
He says, I can really run these. Coach listened and ran those plays. And everybody comes out going, he's a great listener, man. Now, he'll call you out when you're not doing it like, hey, you're not playing well. Yeah. But he'll also go, hey, what can we do? What do you like? Guys can go to him. He's open. He's not like, hey, shut up. Yeah. You do it the way I said and get out of here. Yeah. He's open. He listens. Yeah. He's the new breed of coach. I like what he's doing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, and you look at these 2 games, 2 physical football games, and he talked about early in preseason, hey, we're going to be outside. We're going to go out. We play in this climate. We're going to go out there and look what it did. Not so much for Buffalo because it was a cool, crisp day on that day, but certainly in Pittsburgh, you can't tell me that they didn't take advantage of the weather and the humidity and the steam that was coming off that field in that game against Pittsburgh. Yeah. So, a lot of things to like about he and his staff. Hey, you're watching the Audible here. Kim Bokamper with you, Joe Rose. We'll catch up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitter through Periscope. You can send your questions. # the Audible through Twitter, a rebroadcast on the Miami Dolphins Facebook page, and on MiamiDolphins.com. T. Lubin 6. What are your grades for the team and coach halfway through the season? I don't do the grade thing. You can go ahead and go to the Sun Sentinel, and Omar will give you all the grades you want, or I don't know who does it for the Miami Herald or whatever.
Everybody likes to give
I'm
grades.
Not a grade. I'm not a grade guy.
Grades were out.
You know what? Here's my grade right now. They're 3 and 4. That's my grade. That's the only thing I go by.
I hope next week we're all sitting here talking about being back to 500 on the West Coast.
And Joe, that's a point. Look, you got it's funny. So you got the Jets coming in. You got a chance to beat the Jets here and a long home stand. Go be 4 and 4. You fought yourself back up to where you're at 500. You go out to play San Diego, who's had their struggles. You go out to play the Rams that have had their struggles. You got the 49ers who've had their struggles. So the schedule lining up for you, there are opportunities out there. But look, there's still good football teams, and you got to go out and play. But certainly the opportunity is there going forward if they can continue to play like they did. But that goes all the way back to one of the first questions that we had on here. Was it just those 2 games, or was that an aberration, or is that going to be what we see on a normal basis? If that's the normal basis, then I think you got a pretty good shot to start making up some ground, and who knows where you go from there.
I was just looking at their stats the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they can keep up. They haven't turned the ball over. Both 50 first downs the last 2 games. I mean, you start looking at the numbers, 470-something yards rushing. I mean, you're going, wow, but you keep that formula, what they're doing.
I like, Joe? I like when I look, because when I'm on the side, I keep my notes, and I keep stats for every drive. And first down is one of the things I look at. And for that whole first 5 weeks of the season, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 1 first down punt, those kind of things. Yeah. You look at these drives now. 5 first downs, 6 first downs in drives, not games, in drives. So they're moving the ball down the field and doing it in a methodical way, and then taking advantage later in the game when the big play opportunity presents itself.
About 13 minutes difference in time of possession these last 2 games, which tells me my big guys on defense are getting a lot of rest.
Yeah. Bobby Bumpkus playing team defense. Can we stop Marshall? You can stop Marshall. If you want to talk about team defense, if those guys up front put pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick and make him very, very uncomfortable back there, that'll certainly help on Brandon Marshall. And then I think, look, we saw it. In a cover 3 last week, where the speedy receiver goes down the field, safety doesn't get to the deep outside in time enough, miss it by a little bit. You can cheat. You're a safety. You can cheat over a little bit, get over there, help that way. But I don't think this is a game, Joe. We've talked about this before. Rarely when I played on the defense did we ever double team a guy in a pure sense.
Not true.
So I don't know that Brandon Marshall's a guy that you do try to double team.
He's gonna get targeted a lot, Bo.
No question.
And I think he's made it clear getting on that plane, and he's in his suit and he looks over at his quarterback and he says, "I'm going back home." And I did a lot of talking.
Yeah.
I need the ball a lot this week.
Yeah.
And you don't want me unhappy.
Yeah.
I think they're going to throw him
unhappy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him unhappy. Get that quarterback where he doesn't have the time to get the ball to him on time, where he throw a few bad balls to him in the first quarter, and all of a sudden he's not he's not such a happy guy out there. And I think that's how you do it. But team defense, you can do it. But it starts up in front with pressure, and then the guys back in the back, they just got to do their jobs, and they got to challenge. They got to challenge this guy all they can,
But the true double team, you're right. Now, is there going to be help over the top on certain routes? Yes. Of course. He runs something to the inside, runs a post pattern. There's going to be a safety waiting for him. There will be that kind of stuff.
Odyssey Artist, since the line is playing so well, will we see Tannehill bootlegs? Well, I think if the line keeps playing the way they're playing it, and it's funny, Joe, I started looking at the numbers. I look at Ryan Tannehill's numbers game by game. These last 2 games, his numbers, almost no biggest difference in his numbers in these last 2 games are the number of sacks. 0 sacks against Pittsburgh, 1 sack against Buffalo. But you look at his passing numbers, you look at his percentages, you look at his yards, not much different than the first 5 games. But when you watch him play, that was a much different Ryan Tannehill than we saw in week 1 through 5.
Not even close. Hey, Bo, the other thing, I like that. I agree.
Yeah.
I've been quietly kind of saying, hey, we need to bootleg and roll. The guy's athletic. Everybody knows that. And he throws the ball really well on the run. Yeah. He's made some of his best throws. I'd go back to 3 or 4 throws he's made, some of them third downs.
Marquise Gray.
How about the touchdown that gets called back? That's as good a throw as he's made. He rifles on going rolling to his right to his tight end in the back of the end zone. Got called back because of a hole, but some of the throws he's made on the run both ways. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I love him outside the pocket.
Sort of Jarvis Landry on a key third down that the left kept him going.
Right.
So a lot of good things going on with Ryan Tannehill, and a lot of it comes from that offensive line, the ability to stay clean, and that gives him freedom to do a lot of things. All right, here we go. Blow 85, or is that Blow E 85? Joe, you still eating that Anthony's coal-fired pizza?
Bo, every Friday night. I can't tonight because I won't be home, and it could be a late night. But yeah, every Friday night I go for the salad. Yeah, I go chicken wings and meatball ricotta cheese. Although everybody is telling me I should go steak and cheese.
Very good.
You might have been.
I told you. I think I told you the steak and cheese. No doubt about it.
It was you.
No doubt about it. My Neon Leon out there, he likes all pepper pizza. You had those hot peppers on there?
I like him.
I can tell when he comes in because he can't sit down. He has to stand up
he gets going.
and do the show.
Like a couple of Cuban coffee. Yeah, he's jumping up and down.
Because he does that. He eats the pie with all the hot peppers. And what do they call it? Colada? What's that? The Cuban coffee they drink? Colada?
Cafe. What is a Cuban coffee? It's Cuban coffee and it's the...
But it's strong.
Oh,
and you put that combination together.
You just have one of those.
You put that combination together.
A lot of those guys been drinking that since they're like 2 years old.
He sits on out there sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because I know when he...
I've seen him get up a couple of times. He didn't use his legs.
No.
Yeah.
Splendiferous Finch. Will Jarvis's hit on Williams in the Bills game affect his play? No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm sorry about what happens, but I'm not changing the way I play.
No. And look, the thing I can't get over with that play, it's a running play. You're in that box. You're fair game, and I know the guy wasn't looking, but it's not like a defenseless. In my mind, it's not like a defenseless receiver.
I was shocked he wasn't looking up more. I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jarvis Landry was coming off a frustrating play. He had a penalty called before, and he was looking to jack somebody pretty good, and he did.
Not going to affect the way he plays his game. No, and look,
the guy's on a mission.
I know coaches have talked to him, say, "Hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't change.
Go play your game. We don't want you to change a bit." Parker seems to lose concentration and drop balls. I don't know that he loses concentration. I just don't think he runs his routes. I don't think he runs his routes like he's getting the ball thrown to him every time he runs a route.
We saw that. He kind of stopped on a route in the last game, and the ball, you're like,
and now today on the injury list, he's questionable with a hamstring.
You know what I want to do with Devontae Parker? He's got so much talent. Yeah. That's the frustrating part. And it's not like he's got knee problems or anything. He's got all this talent. Yeah. You see him go through drills, and you see he does things, and he's size and 218 pounds, and he can run. I just want to shake him and go, do you know how good you can be?
No, right.
Look at the other two guys. Look at Kenny and Jarvis. Like, come on, man. They wish they were 6'3" and could jump like you. And
all right. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, last question of the day, Joe. I know you got to go. Will the team be able to reduce the number of penalties? You know, I looked at penalties. So I looked at a lot of stuff since they're in the bye week. Last two games, they had the most penalty yardage in their season. They had 116 yards of penalties against Buffalo. They had 95 yards of penalties against Pittsburgh, and they were two of their best games. And that was one of my things coming into the season. Look, if you're not going to be a great football team, if you're going to be a football team that has to grind out wins, then you better not be shooting yourself in the foot with penalties. They did it in two games and one football game.
They won, but there were two penalties on that last drive where Buffalo ends up going down to score, where you basically have them stopped. A late hit out of bounds and John to the side or somebody. I don't know if it was a priest or whoever it was. Can do.
All right, Joe, I know you're about ready to cash in. Big night for you out there. You're going down to Coral Gables and just be one of the creme de la creme down in Coral Gables. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend. Nice. Sunday, it's the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, 1 o'clock. We'll see you Monday, and hopefully we're talking about 3-0. And how about my man Leon spouts in there? My man Leon jumps in. You know what he wants me to ask me? Is that a clip-on tie, Joe?
He
thinks you're in third grade.
Come on, man.
He thinks you're in third grade and mom's trying to put a clip-on tie on you.
I've been doing this for a while now. Man. I can tie it. That was a shot.
That's a bad shot.
There's no reason. You take shots in my head, but not the tie.
Audible, get out of here. We're done.